Good morning, everyone. How's it going? My life is a little bit in chaos right now. My partner has been traveling for work this week, so I've been single parenting and just managing to survive. Oh no. See, this is a good example of my life being chaos. I have my window for the live stream open, and it's playing in two browsers. Wow. This is the most chaotic start to a live stream we have had up until this point. And there's been some chaotic ones. So bear with me. Because I was copy and pasting the link to the live stream to share across like social media platforms, I had it open into tabs. And as soon as I started streaming, it went live and my voice and video was just blasting through all these tabs, and it was overwhelming. I'm a little shaken from this, and I'm hoping that I can recover and get back into this. How's everyone doing today? In this live stream, I am going to be doing some lettering for the Stinktober challenge. Let's see if I can pop that up on the screen. Not yet. Nope, supporters. Listen, I'm gonna have to start over, or I'm just gonna leave. I gotta go. This isn't working out. So, Stinktober. I had a key command, didn't work. This is Stinktober. We are getting towards the end of this. We're 2/3 of the way through. This is the 20th, and today's prompt is something from a song. So I'm gonna illustrate some lettering lyrics for today's stream. And it's probably, hopefully it'll go a little smoother than this. I also realized that I don't have my comments up, so I don't even know. You guys could be saying, hey, this whole thing is broken. I can't hear anything, or I can't see anything, and you're a stupid idiot. So let me pop that up. There also may be tons of noise happening because my mom and stepdad are here to hang out with my kid while I'm doing this, and they just are very loud. They're basically yell talking to each other, and they have the TV volume up very loud. So listen, I'm here. I'm doing the best I can. Overlays. So the other thing is, what am I trying to talk about? My video for Tuesday is, I think it may be borderline unwatchable. So I had this idea to like redo a bad old drawing from a weird sketchbook. And it's so long, like uneditable. And it's like pretty much a 2-hour video where I come up with borderline mediocre illustration at the end. So if anyone watches it, you are a true supporter, and I am thankful. But I got to post a video on Tuesday, and it's all I've had time to do. So we'll see. It looks like we've got some people in the chat. Things are going okay. Thank you for bearing with me as we start this. Good morning, Diana, Lisa, Julia, Drusilla. Nice to see you. Shout out to Let's Socialize and Craft for being one of my newest super sporters. One of the reasons I'm a little flustered is because I was just trying to, as quickly as possible, update my supporters graphic with the new channel members, but it didn't happen. I wasn't able to get through it. So I just want to shout out my channel members. Let me just pop up the old graphic. Thank you to all of these amazing channel members. As I always say, all of my super supporter and above members get their name illustrated and included in all the videos I make while they are active members. Can't thank them enough. And I want to give a special shout out to one of my new BFFs, which is the highest tier YouTube member, which is Emma Bevage. So excited to have you on board. And a shout out to Rob Pitt, aka Pitt and Pendulum, for coming back. I guess he had a little bit of an issue with his thing. I don't know. Listen, he didn't mean to leave, but he left, and I thought he hated me, but he's back because he was one of my earliest members. So glad to have you back. And while I have my members up, shout out to Prasong as a new member, James Grissinger. Thanks to have you. And let's see, what's the last newest one? Thardist. Thank you. Okay, I would shout out all of you, but we have 60 channel members right now, which is, I'm pretty impressed with that. I was worried to start channel memberships at first because I didn't know if anyone would join this. And then for a while, I was toying with the idea of just swapping it out for Patreon, but it's working out pretty well. So thank you all so much. Let me check in with the chat. I think I have to give up on trying to keep this organized so that like it plays well as like a rewatchable video. I try to like sometimes get right into it so that people can watch it over again, but it's already started in chaos, so I'm just gonna go with it. Paula, nice to see you. Sue Ann O, good morning. Jay Quest. Glad you can't hear the noise. I really think this, I guess it's not that new anymore, but this mic I got is really good at just getting my vocals. So, you know, I'm glad because it is very loud. Let me tell you, all I can hear is Grandma and Chase just yell talking at each other. Okay. So, Sean, good morning to you. Joluvian, hello from Italy. Awesome. Glad to have you here. So, as I mentioned, I am going to be doing some lettering today. I will be lettering some Misfits lyrics to go with the Halloween theme because, you know, it's October. It's coming up soon. The lyrics are from a song called Halloween, which is fitting, if you will. If you will. What am I even talking about? It's been a long week. Anyway, the lyrics I'm going to illustrate are candy apples and razor blades. It's just a phrase. It's just words. But I thought it would be fun because we can incorporate some lettering and some illustrated elements, like draw some candy apples with razor blades. I think it'll be fun. That's what I'm hoping. So let me switch over to my iPad. And then we can, you know, start drawing in Fresco. Hey, let's socialize and craft. You asked, have you tried the Elgato Stream Deck? I haven't, but I need to just pull the trigger and get one because it would make my life a lot easier with switching between things and popping up graphics. One thing that reminds me, I forgot to mention the Stinktober challenge. So these are, if you don't know, these are drawing prompts that I came up with for the month of October to go along with the whole Inktober situation. Mine is called Stinktober. Stinktober, turns out, is not an original name. So we can't use the hashtag Stinktober. So I've been using the hashtag MyStinkytober23. And there has been so many amazing contributions. So many people are joining in. At the beginning, I was trying to like respond and like share and comment all of them, but it's just, there's just so many. And also I've had barely any time to even go on Instagram on a regular basis. I'm just barely scraping by this week. So I highly recommend checking out that hashtag because there's so many. Let's just check right now. Since this whole live stream is chaos, I would just like to see how we're doing here. So there's well over 1,000 posts, well over 1,000 contributions already, and they're pretty great. So I am posting these every day. Haven't missed any yet. You can you can see them each day if you follow me on Instagram. I think that's fun. You could do that. Braxton, how's it going? Good morning to you. I just realized I was going to send you stuff, and I didn't because, again, my life is chaos this week. I apologize for that. Jay Quest, nice to see you. Paula, you said, do you send the lettering to the members, or is it only for you to use? I am happy to send that lettering to all of the channel members. All they have to do is just send me an email, because YouTube memberships, one issue with that is they don't give me any of your contact info. So people join, and then I have like member perks, but I can't reach out to you because I have to like hunt down contact info. Sometimes I can find it, oftentimes I can't. So yeah, if you are a channel member and you would like your lettering sent to you, all you gotta do is email me and say, hey, I'm a channel member and you drew my name. Can I have that file? And I'll say, sure you can. Let me just dig it up because my files are in chaos right now, and then I'll send it to you. Keen Kong, what's up, party people? OG live stream hangout person. Oh, sorry that you've been sick. I totally get the daycare sickness. I feel like it just spreads through there like rapid fire. Never realized what it'd be like to just get sick constantly from my kid. That happens. We are 12 minutes into this live stream. I haven't started doing anything yet, so I apologize for that. I've had a few requests for, ew, I just noticed that my light over here is like a gross color, and that is not the vibe that I'm going with. I need to fix that. So I'm just doing whatever I want in this live stream. You're gonna see it happen in real time. Ready? Ooh, look at that. That vibe is better. Okay. Very important stuff. I like spent a bunch of time mounting this helmet that I drew on the wall, and you can't even tell. You can't even see it. I think because of the, I think if I get, it'll focus back there. Maybe. I don't know. I've had a few questions about like the different art in the background. So I was thinking about doing a video where I talk about the art hanging on the walls, and then maybe some other art that I like or inspirations or something like that. Does that sound like a video you'd want to see? If so, let me know in the comments. Okay. Shunkley Jones, how's it going? Pinky Green, how you doing? Let's switch over to my iPad so I can start drawing so that this is a little less chaotic. Boom. So I was doing that like full vertical shot of me for some of these live streams and some of my recent videos, and I realized that I do a lot of like leaning, and then I notice that there'll be like 10 minutes of video where it's just like half my head. I'm like this. And that's stupid. Cool. Sounds like some people would be into that video idea. That's cool. Let's I'll try and do that then. Okay. The problem is I need to think of, I guess I could just call it inspiration. The thing is, you always got to be thinking about the title and the thumbnail, because like, it sounds stupid, but you like spend all this time making a video and thinking you're doing a good job, but if you don't have a good title and thumbnail, no one's going to click on it and watch the video. And then no one's going to see it. that my channel just dies. All right, I got a blank canvas here. And I gotta just start. So I'm grabbing a pencil and let's put on some background tunes. Is this working? Let's see. Can you hear it? Does it sound good? I'm really drawing this out. I'm not actually drawing, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so the phrase is candy apples and razor blades. I also turned on the touch and like things so that you could see when I'm screen sharing. Let me know if that's helpful. It's a little weird to me because I see it and I'm not used to seeing it. Okay, so candy apples and I don't know if we're gonna do and or the word and razor blades. So that's the phrase. So you really can't hear my mom and my kid yelling upstairs? Because wow. And like the whole floor is shaking from like the TV. Like there's like a, you know, a subwoofer speaker underneath. And I've never noticed it because it's never this loud, but I guess they can't hear. Okay, so I'm thinking we're gonna need some apples. So right now I'm just like trying to figure out like a rough sketch for like what this might look like as a composition. So maybe there's just like two apples, maybe 3. I don't know. Let's make this the written version. I'm having a hard time getting used to these blue little things. So glad you guys can't hear that. Can you hear the background music? Because I can't hear it. Let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking little apples in the center. We can maybe put faces on them or something. Put some razor blades in them. And they're candy, so we can put some candy stuff on them. So I'm thinking maybe they could like anchor the lettering. So like maybe we can wrap the lettering around it. So like maybe we could do like maybe some script for candy apples. I think that could look nice. Because it's candy apples and razor blades, I like the idea of like juxtapositioning the styles, like having some like nice, you know, script, flowy, pretty lettering mixed with like razor blades. Again, staying super rough, and I keep making new layers so that I can easily make adjustments. Like if I want to move something around to like fix it. I got lucky with the sizing here and like how this fit. Usually that doesn't happen, so that's why I always do new layers so that I can quickly adjust that. Probably will need to take advantage of that for razor blades. So maybe razor blades could be more of like a aggressive style letters or something. Yeah, see, we're gonna run out of space on this one, clearly. Normally what I'll do is I'll just like write it out simply. That's not the right word. Like this, and then use that as a guide. And then we could like scale it back or something like that. And then I could use this to size the letters off of, but well, I guess it can't hurt to leave it on. but that just gives me like a visual to see when I'm doing the stylized letters on top of that. Good morning, Sally with the jelly. Glad you can hear the background music. Stephanie Canada, you said, just found your channel. Love it. Thanks for the tutorials. That's so great to hear. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I forgot I can add comments to the video. Okay, so now that I have really light razor blades there, I can kind of use that as like a guide to sort of try to make this fit better. So trying to like add a little bit of style here. Maybe we can tuck the B into that like angle for the R. I'm trying to like fit the letters together because it's kind of long. And then maybe kind of go with the curve. So we're gonna have this weird negative space up here, unless maybe we like make E a little bit smaller, then we could like pull the S in like that. Oh, and that would reference the R. So this looks pretty rough, but it's like helping me get a feel. And at this point, what I'll do is I'll just sort of clean up this mess a little bit and like merge these things together because it feels sort of like the direction I want to go in. And then I'll, like, I think it needs to be rotated a little bit. And I'm not ready to make it bigger yet because it still needs a lot of work. So I'll turn down the opacity of this, and then I'll just sort of make some guidelines to sort of help like figure out just to make it less willy-nilly and like fix the overall shape. So I'm thinking like having like a guide for the like the baseline at the bottom will be helpful. Actually, I'm going to use my ruler so I can get a straight line because I can't tell. And then maybe we'll put one at the top just because why not? And then sometimes like I get a little too particular with these guides and then it gets a little sterile and I have to like break out of them. But I do find it helpful when I'm working out a composition so that I can just get it close and then kind of make it a little bit more organic, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna make another new layer and I'm gonna make an ellipse because I want this to have sort of like a circle shape because that's what we started working with. So I'm just gonna grab like, I don't know, a color, fill that in. I'm gonna set this layer to multiply and then turn down the opacity quite a bit. And then just gonna put that in there just as like a loose visual to sort of help with that that curve to make sure that it sort of fits together nicely. And then, so I can already see that this is sort of, the razor blades is shifted a little bit, so I can, I don't know, it'll look more cohesive when I can fix that up a little bit. So because I want to reference this down angle on the R on the other side, I'm going to try to like, this may be too too soon for this kind of thing, but we'll see. It can't hurt. So I'm going to duplicate this and move this to the other side. So if you double tap the modifier, it'll lock it onto that straight line. And we can go like that. Let's socialize and craft. He said, loving that so far. Thank you so much. Broken Ribs Vids. Glad to have you here. Glad that you liked the vector video. That is great to hear. Marcus from Brazil, how's it going? So glad that you are learning a lot. Okay, so these lines are just sort of guides for me. I'll merge those down so that I can just have something to help, because I want this sort of symmetry a little bit. Like, I like that it feels balanced. So again, I'm going to do the same thing where I duplicate this. And like, these aren't really for the letters, but they're just like visuals that I'll draw from, which I'll show you. So again, I'm going to double tap the modifier so that I can, whoops, I got to make sure I'm on the transform tool. Double tap the modifier, pull this over here and then flip it. And then just like roughly get it in a similar spot. Okay. And then the only other thing that I want to do is just get a center point just for reference. So I think what I can do is duplicate the circle. Is this a thing? No, that's not helpful. Oh no, but delete. You know what I'll do? I'll just draw a line with the ruler. I just want it close to the center, so that's pretty good. Okay, so we got these guides, and then we've got this guide, so we can put the guides together. Let's bring the opacity up on all those. So I'll merge those down. What is that? Where do we get this little orange dot from? Okay, so let's turn that down. And now let's, after all that work, it looks like I shifted my guides. What are we doing here? Okay. Now we've got a fresh layer. Now we can try to tighten this up a little bit. So I think I'm going to do the candy apples lettering and then draw the apples afterwards so that I can maybe fit them to the lettering shape. Maybe, we'll see. I'm going to turn my smoothing up now since I'm drawing this script. Okay, so I'm okay with the C breaking the shape. I just want it as a visual to like help me like size everything else. And I'll often like skip to other letters at this point when I'm like trying to figure out the composition so that I don't end up like running out of space and like cramming letters. And I think the A can also like break that shape a little bit. These guides aren't there to like trap me and like make me just stick to those shapes. They're just there so that I can sort of, I like see them, let them help me, and then disregard them when I need to. So this lettering still needs some work, but it's better. And it's at a point where I can try to like draw these apples in to like work with the space. So like, for example, I can pull the curve of that one up. I want these to be characters, so I may end up like wanting one of them to like hold like a blade or something. Like I feel like there's maybe one of them should have a razor blade sticking into it, but the other one maybe should like be an evil apple or something. I don't know. Maybe he's got a razor blade or something. We'll figure that out afterwards. Okay. Do we need a third apple? That's the question. I guess we got the room for it. Just put it in the background. Maybe we can decide to get rid of it. But I can shorten the legs of those peas or something. Okay. And let's try to make this razor blades lettering better. So I'm gonna stick with this R shape. I think it was pretty good, but I'm gonna just kind of pull it over there so it fills that shape a little bit better. This looks like a good spot where we could stick a razor blade in an apple or something. Okay, so I'm gonna jump over to the S. I'm gonna turn my smoothing down for this because this is not smoothing lettering. Let's socialize. You said your name is Lisa, aka Lolly. Grandma name. Okay, well, thank you. That's easier to say than socialize and craft. Finkdes, how's it going? Glad you like these streams. Doctor Who Design, how's it going? Clezio, Brazil, awesome. I like the idea of an unidentified artful UFO. Broken Rib Vids. Skullface Apple. That's a good idea. Punk Apple with a mohawk? Maybe. Okay. Let's figure this out. So we got a Z. Then maybe like a little O can fit there. And then I don't want to get these letters too jammed up, but I like them sort of fitting together like this. I think that could be worked with. It looks like we could shift the S over a little bit, and then we'd have a little bit more room to work with. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to turn off the original sketch, and I think I'll turn off those guides because I don't need them anymore, because I have a pretty like solid shape at this point, and now I don't want to be too confined to the shapes. I just wanted it to sort of like help me get this through, and make it feel a little bit balanced. So we can delete the place where we just wrote it. And then what I will do is I will merge this all down. Let's just get rid of all this other stuff. We don't need it anymore. And we can make this bigger. Now we're finally at the stage where we can work at a bigger size and work out some details. So gonna bring down the opacity again and try to fix this up. Okay, so first, let's make the brush a little bit bigger. First thing I want to do is pull this line up a little bit tighter, because there's a little bit of extra space there that we didn't need. And then I think this lettering can get a little bit shorter. And get rid of that weird extra line at the bottom of the D. Okay, that feels candy-ish. I apologize for the zooming in and out. I constantly do that. I don't know why. Didn't notice it till I started filming myself draw more. So this apples lettering needs a little bit of work, and I think it's because the angles are all weird. So let's see what we can do to fix it up. I think we need a little bit of a, I don't know, a curve in the A or something. Whoops, don't hold. A's are annoying. We solve the problems we can first, where like the angles were all weird. All right, I gotta figure this out. I think I might need to ignore the apples and just think about this lettering. It's a little better. I just don't like the straight line of the P with the other one. Let's turn this one back on and get rid of the first bad apples. Erase. Also looks like apples is sitting up a little too high. All right, I think if I just draw it once more, it'll be okay. So I think that maybe the angle changes too abruptly. Shunkley Jones, I like the idea of apples carved like pumpkins. That could be pretty cool. William L. Glad you are here. Thanks for joining in. Shifra K, thank you so much. Glad you like my content and videos. It's funny you're saying polished videos because today's live stream started off a bit chaotic. You said that you draw a lot. So how many hours a day do you draw? That's a good question. You know, it really can depend a lot. As an illustrator, you know, a big portion of my work that I do to pay the bills is drawing. So sometimes I have a lot of client work to be drawing. But even if it's not client work, I'm still drawing other stuff, whether it's personal work or stuff for videos. Sometimes a good chunk of my day can be drawing. That's why I'm wearing this strap, because I have tendonitis. There's a lot of drawing, but it does vary a bit. All right. I don't know. I just tweaked it a little bit, but it feels much better to me at this point. So now we can move down to these apples, and somehow we've got extra space for this this apple that I want to be holding a weapon. So we can figure that out in a second. Actually, you know what? Before I do the apples, I'm gonna do the razor blades type, because that may affect how I place these apples. So I'm going to start in the middle, because the ends are in pretty good shape, but some of this stuff is getting a little jammed in, like this R is a little too thin. So I think maybe I will start there. And it looks like, I don't know. We got to figure it out. So I'm going to start by making this R a little bit wider. Not a ton, because we don't have a lot of extra room, but even just a little bit I think will help. And then I'm going to tuck this B into that space. And then I think if we angle that part of the L down a little bit, we can make that first leg of the L a little bit longer, because it's a little bit short now, and that makes it a little bit hard to read. I think I can't do all pointed ends on these letters. So let's see if I can make it work without doing that. Okay, so this O is a little tricky. You can tell I'm deep in thought because I just like stopped talking altogether. I'm doing some problem solving here. Just trying to like make this puzzle come together. I do think so. I've been using this Astro Pad rock paper pencil combo, though I'm not using the pencil tip right now, so I'm just using their detachable screen protector, and the drawing experience with it is fine. It's good. There's no I reviewed the removable Bellamond screen protector, and I felt like there was a disconnect, and I actually put it on again recently to see if I still felt that way, because I discovered when using this one that that sort of like weird give from the screen protector went away quickly, because the screen protector sort of like fused down with like, I think, static or something. So I was like, well, let me retry the Bellamond one, because I said I didn't like it because of that disconnect. And I noticed that the magnets are a lot thicker on the Bellamond one, and that definitely makes it have more of a disconnect. So this one doesn't have that, but I do think this one, like even like any of the removable ones, make the touch, like moving around, sometimes like I feel like I have to touch harder, because like sometimes it doesn't do what I want it to do. So there is that. It's not a huge difference though, but I'm curious to go back to a non-removable one and see how that helps. Okay, so this new version of razor blades feels pretty good. The only thing I'm thinking is I may try to soften the top of this D so that it gives me a smoother spot for the apple, because it sort of bumps into that space quite a bit. So I guess I can leave it there while I draw the new one, the new version of this razor blade sketch. So now I'm still not going to do the tightened version of this razor blades lettering, but I'm going to do a tightened sketch of it, because it may still need some finesse. Like, I still don't know if I'm going to have like overlapping or just like connecting letters, like this A thing, because I think that may be the only spot I have that. So that's still something that I need to decide before I do my tightened version. But it could be helpful because the space is tight in some spots. But it could make it too busy, so that's a tricky thing. I think they're watching the new Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem movie upstairs, and I'm a little jealous. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. The animation illustrations are rad. I forget the illustrator's name, but he's awesome. I've been following his work for a while. Okay, so if I am going to overlap letters a little bit, I need to not just have it be there, because that's weird. So maybe this E will overlap the S or something. We can figure that out. In the meantime, I need to shorten this the D a little bit. Maybe the D could overlap. I don't know. See, we're still working this out. I think this needs to come over further. Okay, so this the D just barely touching the S is tangent, and want to avoid those because they cause distraction. It makes like visual interest. It like draws the eye to it, and it's not something I want to draw the eye to. Okay, I think this is pretty good because we've got some overlap, but it's not just in one spot. We got that E overlapping, that one, and then the only one spot that isn't great, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it the whole thing great, but this ZO thing just needs to be more intentional in terms of is it overlapping or is it like touching, or what is happening? So I'm going to try to maybe make this part of the D a little bit wider. All right, I think that's good. I think that's fine. I got a runny nose. Let me drink some water. William L., you said, is it candied apples or candy apples? Asking grammar, please. Well, it may be it's probably candied apples. However, the prompt is something from a song, and these are lyrics from a Misfits song, and the Misfits say candy apples and razor blades in the song. So we don't need to consult the grammar police because we are drawing lyrics, and sometimes lyrics are not grammatically correct. Triple MYI, you said, how do you come up with such creative yet seemingly unrelated wording and fitting them together? Do you try different combinations in your mind before committing to one? Well, I mean, you saw me work it out in full live time here, unless you came in late. If you did, that's okay. But for me, you know, with these lyrics, I was thinking there's apples involved, and I thought apples would be a good way to sort of center, just to like anchor the composition, putting them in the middle. And then as I thought about the lettering for candy apples and razor blades, I wanted to sort of have juxtapose the styles. So like having sort of a nice fancy script for candy apples, because, you know, it's a candy apples vibe. But then razor blades is like menacing and gross. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just, you know, have them be opposites, and then they'll sort of complement each other. At least that was my thought process. Okay, so the lettering sketch is good. Now we just need to work on these apples. So we still have a little bit of a bump here. Oh, but you know what we can do? Let's just pull the A up like that, and then we can use that for the apple. So because that's probably the most difficult space to work with, I'm going to start there. So I'm going to draw this apple shape here. Okay. And then draw this one. That. And then we've got this the back apple. So they're a little off center compositionally, but I'm going to give this one an arm and a razor blade to go with the spooky Halloween vibes, and also because we're doing some Misfits lyrics, so, you know. I'm thinking it's like going to be one of these, that's ridiculous. I like it. Maybe this one's got like the leaf down like this. The if you're unfamiliar with the Misfits, they have this like hairstyle. They're not a band really anymore, but in the 80s, punk rock band, horror punk, they had a hairstyle called the devil lock. And what the devil lock was I'll just do a quick little drawing here. So this is Angry Glenn Danzig, who is the singer when he's singing. And the devil lock was hair that came down in a point like this. So this is a great drawing of Danzig. That's his mouth, that's his nose, and that's the devil lock. So I was thinking maybe I could do something with the leaf that reference that. Okay, and then over here, I'm gonna put a razor blade, just like a traditional razor blade, like a box cut thing. What does it look like? I think there's a. What is it? I need to do a quick image search for a razor blade. Razor blade. So that's what I'm trying to draw. This is what you got to do. This is the process. Let's undo this. I'm gonna do this on a new layer while I'm looking at this reference. So we got this rectangle shape, and then this sort of curves down like this, and then we've got the little notches for when it goes in the blade, and then there's like this thing. Okay, we can make that better in the final drawing now that I know what it looks like. Can take that, fit it into the space a little bit better. Like that, and then merge that down, then maybe all right. So let's turn off that original sketch, and then let's just figure out these apples real quick. The devil lock thing is, if we're gonna do it, I might have to do it right. Maybe this leaf's gotta come out over. It may get a little too weird. I don't know if it's gonna be, what do we think? Do we commit to this devil lock leaf? Finkdes, it says, it seems looking at your line work comparing to my iPad pencil lines, that screen picture might be the cause of wobbly lines. my lines when I'm drawing with the smoothing down and it's in the morning when I've been drinking coffee are wobbly. I rely on the smoothing quite a bit. My lines look like this with or without a screen protector, especially like later in the day when I'm not mega caffeinated from not getting enough sleep. My lines are cleaner, but I am not embarrassed to say that I use the smoothing quite a bit to get my lines right. So I'm just trying to work out these apple faces, apple characters a little bit better. Putting my smoothing back up because I'm self-conscious now. Okay, so I spend too much time doing things like this, like redrawing things exactly the same for the sketch part, but I don't know. Okay, so the other thing is these are candied apples, which is an important thing to remember. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna have them like dripped down with stuff like this. And maybe it's, I think we're forcing it with the devil lock leaf. I'm abandoning it, I'm sorry. Executive decision here. Because with the candiedness, I think it changes things. So maybe it like looks like a mask or something for this apple. And then this one is, you know, it's got a razor blade in it, so maybe it's like and then maybe the one on the back is just, we just got some drippiness on it. We don't know. We don't see a face on that one. It's just these two in the front. All right, we're ready to move on to the full composition, I think. The finished art. Okay, so let's turn down the opacity. Trying to decide if I want this to be clean vector or gritty textured. I'm gonna let you guys decide. Let me know in the comments if this should be gritty textured pixel brushes or if it should be vector art. Catty B, so glad you appreciate the Danzig apple. Doizd, did I say that right? Hello, nice to see you. Dylan Gentry, you said, how come you didn't go with brown leaf vertigo? I'm spacing on what that is because I'm brain dead right now. But I want to draw some apple characters. Brian Branch, how do you get out of creative block? I actually think I did a video about that, about like my daily drawing process that I did for 14 years, where I talk about, I think the thumbnail actually says creative block, so I would check out that video. Doisd, I have not tried Calipeg. I tend to not dabble too much with other software just because as a professional illustrator, I'm working within the Adobe suite quite a lot for delivering files, and Fresco works so seamlessly into that and it does everything great. So I don't dabble too much, but maybe I could try some apps for video ideas. Not the real mini Bloxia. I think I remember you last time you came in, blew up the comments and then left. How's it going? I don't know what WSG means. We got gritty vibes. And then T, you said gritty equals not vector. Question mark. Yeah, it's hard to do good gritty art with vector because, you know, vector art is made from points and precision. Like it's easier in Illustrator where you can like apply textures, but it's still not going to have the same real analog feel that you can get with pixel-based brushes because, you know, it's using texture to paint with. Oh, not real mini blocks yet. It means what's good. I should have known that. Nice to see you. Okay, we're going full gritty here. So I'm gonna go to my tried and true classic inker from Retro Supply Co. in the liner set. You can find the link below if you're interested. It's in their liner set. Gotta mention the affiliate links because it helps keep things going, because I spend so much time on these videos that I need to be able to justify it. And anytime you purchase something with one of my affiliate links, it really helps, especially the Retro Supply ones, because their affiliate commission is so much better than, like, you know, the Amazon ones. So I have the smoothing turned all the way up, and because I worked out this lettering so much in the sketch, I'm not really having to change anything here. I'm just doing it slightly tighter. Then I'm just lifting a little bit at the end to get that subtle taper that you can see there. This brush already has very good, well, in terms of the way I want to draw, like the pressure sensitivity allows me to have, like, it's not too dramatic. Some brushes, I feel like just a subtle change makes the line change dramatically. And I just like a little change. Like, that variation is what I like. I'm not someone who does their lettering at like traditional calligraphy where you're like using the pressure to get the lines perfectly. I'll like more draw the basic shape and then, like, I don't know, I letter like I'm drawing, if that makes sense. But I can, you know, so with script lettering, you want the line to be thinner on the way up and then thicker on the way down. So I can change that a little bit. But like, I want this lettering to be somewhat consistently sized, but that subtle variation helps, especially like down here where I want this to like taper off. Get that right. I think these taper a little too much. Okay, so let's do the razor blades lettering. I'm still gonna do a new layer just because it gives me some more flexibility in that regard. So I'm gonna use the, I'm actually gonna make my line work a little bit thinner for this because it's gonna be outlines and the candy apples is like a solid shape. So for lettering like this, where like the shapes sort of play off of each other and like the angles, sometimes I'll just like I won't do like a full letter at first. I'll like do things like this because it just helps me to get it fit together right, because that's an important part of the lettering design I've done here. It also can make it quicker because I'm not having to constantly rotate the artboard because I'm drawing the same angles, because some angles are easier to draw differently, like from different, you know what I'm saying, like pulling it or straight down or straight up or something like that. I think I need to finish some of these because I'm slightly concerned that this might be a little too thick. We'll see. I don't want to redo it, but we might have to. Dusty Mustang, thank you so much. Engie Studios, yes, it is Fresco. King Kong, yeah, you can't currently import or vector brushes into Fresco. Not sure why. I don't know if that's something that'll change soon. I haven't really inquired about it too much because I'm not someone who uses a lot of different vector brushes. I stick to just a simple line quality. If I'm gonna do texture, I end up adding it after the fact because I just find that texture and vector doesn't really look as analog as I would like it to, because, you know, it's not analog. It's not made from a texture or a pattern. Dusty, you just found me today. Thank you so much. Glad these videos are helpful for you. Tia, you said the line quality looks clean and crispy at the same time. Thank you. And so Fresco is vector and raster. So in Fresco, you can work in either, you can work in vector and raster, but not like on the same layer. So for example, this is a pixel brush, as you can see here on the top right. This right here, those are pixel brushes, and then below that are the live brushes, which is a different thing, and then below that is the vector brushes. So in the vector brushes, if you're working in those, for example, if I just selected that and then drew, it's drawing in white because I accidentally switched. If I draw here, you'll see it automatically makes a new layer, and on that layer you'll see the icon is the circle, and then the pixel one is below that. So you can work in vector and pixel in the same document, but not on the same layer because the artwork is made in a different way, so they couldn't be on the same layer together. But it's great because, you know, even if I'm working in vector, I need to sketch in like a pixel pencil brush just because, I don't know, I can't sketch in vector. So I can do my sketch and then just draw on top of it in vector, and all in the same app, and it's very seamless because of that. And then if you double tap the modifier, I can use the same brush as an eraser, get rid of that spot without messing up my texture at all. I was worried it was a little too thick, but I think it's okay. I may do like a 3D thing on the lettering, like where I give it some depth with like a, almost like a, not a drop shadow, but like duplicating it and putting it below to give it some weight. Make it a little bit easier to read because it'll fill in all these like negatives, all the space in between letters with solid black, and I think that may help because it is a little busy with all these different lines. Mohammed Hussein, thanks so much. Glad you are enjoying this. Dusty, you said you feel Vector is sacred, special, pleasing art form is overlooked. Yeah, I mean, especially Vector artwork is great to work in sometimes. I also just love it, and specifically in Adobe Fresco because of the vector trimming. Vector trimming feature would make lettering like this so easy to get those really sharp edges. I'll actually do like a quick demo of that in a second, just because I think like this is such perfect lettering for the vector trimming, because it will allow you to get those like really sharp corners just perfect. Okay, because I'm obsessed with the vector trimming and we're talking about it, let me just show you what I'm talking about. So let me make a new layer. So grab vector brush. So let's draw this R right here. So I can start like way up here, just draw this tight line, snap it so it was perfectly straight, and then like do this line, that, like this. So I'm drawing through all of my lines to get perfectly tight corners. And then okay, so now we've got this shape. Double tap the modifier and then tap it once more so you got the blue around the outline. And now we just draw through all the stuff we don't want. Like that. And now, if you look, these corners are just impeccable, like so tight. And because it's vector, you know, it's infinitely scalable. This could be 100 feet tall and it would be perfect. Like, look at that. Look how great that is. Vector trimming is amazing for lettering like this. Like that are great. Okay, so I think because this is gritty and complicated, I want to make it have like a sort of like a 3D effect just to fill in these areas. So what I'm gonna do for that, I'm gonna turn off the sketch for the time being. I'm gonna duplicate the razor blade lettering, and then on the lower one, I'm gonna bring down the opacity to use this as a guide, and then I'm gonna scale this And if I double tap the modifier, it'll scale to the center. Then I'm going to shift this down like this. I think I'll put it there so those like lines, those line up. And I'm going to turn down the opacity even more. And then we can just actually draw on this layer. So what I'm going to do is just connect the points. So like the bottom of this R, like that. And then like this A. You don't have to like fully connect, but you're just closing the shapes. So like that R, that L would go there. And like, let's see, the L goes like that. And then you can just go like that for that. And then over here, that's gonna go up. And then there's A. Connect that. Okay, so you just want to make sure everything is closed up. And now what we can do is go back to our top layer and let's just fill in these letters white for now. We can change the color afterwards, but this will just make the next step easier. So with that all filled in, we can bring the opacity of this lower one back up. And it's a little bit messy, but that's fine. What we can do is merge these together, and now I'm just gonna fill in all this mess. Actually, when I'm filling, you'll notice there's this like white halo. You need to pull your color margin up so that it fills in that space. Whoops, went too fast. So I can sort of just eyeball this, so I wouldn't be dealing with all these shapes, but this is like a trick to do it if you're not comfortable figuring out those angles. So I'm just going to get it close, and then I'll just manually fill in the rest, because this was a disaster. Okay. So then up here, I'm just going to manually do the top part because it's the same process, but I know where they go, and also you can like make it up a little bit. Like that angle may not be exact, but it looks right, so I'm going to stick with it. But doing this is just simplifying the shape a bit and getting rid of all that like busy negative space that was happening between all the different letters, so it makes it a little bit easier to read. Then once I get it close, what I like to do is simplify it a little bit. And like this overlap. So I'm gonna use the modifier to turn this into an eraser, and I'm just gonna get rid of that. Like that. And like that's a little too thin, so I'm just gonna make that a little bit thicker so it's a little less fussy. Even though that's not technically how it would go. And then like here, I think I'll just like make that into one shape. I think I'll do the same for this, just so it's not so busy. And like we don't need that little chunk there. So I'm just like cleaning up the areas where it's just like too finicky, because like when there's like fussy areas like that, it can be visually distracting. And now I'm just tightening up these points to keep them nice and sharp. Okay, and so since we filled these in white, I'm actually going to go in with white here and fix this up a little bit, like just pull this down a little bit into the R so that overlaps a little bit better. And now I'm just fine-tuning these letter forms so that they read a little bit better. Like for example, this R, now that we have this, now that we don't have the outlines taking up space, we can, whoops, we can extend the shapes of the letters down a little bit so that they read a little bit easier. And I'm just holding to select the black and then the white to go back and forth between the two. Like this L is getting a little too thin. So see, we've got all this extra space now that it's filled in, so we can pull that E over and just help with the readability. Okay, cool. I think this is looking fine. And you'll notice there's all these like little spots because of the texture of this brush. And if, you know, you could go with that if you want the gritty look, but an easy way to fix that would be to just like duplicate the layer, and you can go to transform, and like these little cursor, like the little arrows at the bottom, like you can nudge like 1 pixel and you could just bump that, and it just moving over 1 pixel would fill in those little extra holes if you didn't want them there. And then you could just merge those two together. Now it's onto the apples. Paula, you said you tried to import your favorite Photoshop brushes to Fresco and it didn't work. Yeah, I mean, that's easy. I do it all the time. So to import brushes, maybe I'll put some brushes in here that I don't have that maybe has some texture that we can use for this when I'm coloring it. So when you're in your pixel brushes, because that's what Photoshop brushes would be, you just go to add brushes at the bottom, and then you can go to import from files. So I know I have some in my Dropbox here. I'll go to Retro Supply Co. And let's see if there's some, I think Machine Shop has some brushes. No, they don't. Those aren't brushes. Let's see. Super Grain brushes. And I just tap that and they're there, but I already had them in here. But that's how you import your brushes into Fresco. And you want to make sure that you're using Photoshop brushes because that's what Fresco uses. All right, let's draw these apples. And make my brush size a little bit smaller. All right, I'm gonna start with this razor blade for some reason. I think I want to make it a little bit more, give it a little bit of an angle so it looks a little bit more like a semi-dimensional, like that, and then that part, and then I'll use the modifier to erase, whoops, these little notches. And then the slice for the apple. So I started with the razor blade, because now I can like make the apple shape in a way that it looks like the razor blade is sticking out of it. So I think before it was like coming out of a part of the razor blade where it like didn't make sense. When I'm drawing like weird faces like this, I find myself inadvertently making them. Should it have teeth? Apples have teeth? Who knows? So I'm using like the candy dripness with the like mouth lines just to sort of tie it all together. Maybe some like extra drips by the eyes, so maybe it looks almost like crying or something. Okay, let's move on to this one over here. So this curve over here is a little, yeah, that's better. So because this face is like looking that way a little bit, I sort of like pulled that bottom bump of the apple just to sort of guide. I don't know. We'll see if that works. I'm actually going to make a new layer to start drawing this face because clearly it's not there yet. I'm giving this one a nose for some reason. It may just look, maybe it's just like the drip, but I feel like it is a nice visual. Yeah, maybe it's just a drip, but it looks like it could be a nose. I also like that it sort of looks like a mask or something. Maybe this one has fangs. And a tongue. I think I haven't given up on the idea of the like leaf coming down. Maybe it's like a subtle version of it. Oops, went too hard. Okay. Think Des, you said vector trimming sometimes removes your whole line. Yeah, so vector trimming requires there to be 2 lines. So that could be one reason, like if you're trying to cross over the same line. Another reason that could happen is if you are, your line doesn't fully cross over. I think, let me show you quickly what I'm talking about after I draw this razor blade. Okay, so one issue would be if you did something like this and you wanted to trim that off, that won't work because it needs to be 2 separate lines. So if you were trying to do something like that, you would have to like, you know, have a separate line like that, and then you could do it. The other issue is if, for example, you wanted to trim that line off and then you tried to trim it and it got rid of that whole line. The reason for that is because this line doesn't fully go through. So if you came back and like drew that line longer and then use the vector trimming, then you could trim those off. So hopefully that helps. All right, let's get this back apple in. That looks weird. This whole thing is weird. This back apple needs work. Let's see. I made it look like a pumpkin, I think. I should have just stuck with my sketch because the sketch was clearly the better version of it. Sometimes try to get a little too fancy. Should have just stuck with what I had drawn originally. Okay. Okay, so this is okay. One thing I'm noticing that I'm not crazy about is the let me merge this together so you know what I'm talking about. So over here, feels like it's missing something because that line is too thin. I may experiment with like seeing if I can cheat a little bit. This is not really cheating, it's my drawing, but like I might try to expand the S just so that it looks more balanced, since this is a sort of a symmetrical-ish design. Actually, I think this solves a couple issues, because before thought the line was a little too close to the E, so it looked a little odd. But yeah, that looks better. So I'm just gonna merge that down, fill this in white. Oops. Okay, that's it. Sometimes there's noodling that happens. Like, I understand that's not how the shape works, but this is my shape. I do whatever I want. Okay, so this is all good. I'm gonna merge this together because it's a little low on our document, so I can shift this up. And now we can color this, I guess. I don't know what I want to do for coloring, but we can start with red because we need red for the apples. So I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna set this as a reference layer, and then I'm going to choose a red. I like to use a more washed out red for some reason. I'm gonna stick with that. Might be a little too light, but it also might be fine. We'll see. Because we're going to put the dark red for the coating, and I want that to be clear that it's different than the rest. I think it needs to be a more, this has to be more like a brownie red? Yeah, I think that's okay. I want to be careful. Like, I know technically it would be darker, but you don't want to choose a color that hides your line work when you're doing like line drawings like this, where the lines are like the important part, because then it hides it, and you don't want that. Okay, so now we are. One thing we should decide is the background. Like, there's got to be, I guess it could be on white, but I don't think I want that. And I don't want too many colors for a design that's like, has this look, like the gritty look, because it's supposed to look like printmaking. So I don't want to have like a ton of different colors, because that's not how the work would be if you were working in like a printmaking look, because you'd be printing all the colors separately. This is the thought process that I have when I'm going through coloring stuff. So I'm wondering if like maybe we can find a color that will work as both the leaves and like the razor blade color. So maybe it's like a gray, green, blue. We'll see. I can always come in and add more colors if it's like too ridiculous. I might just color those in with that color. I always like to start minimal with my color, and then if I decide I need to add more, we can do that, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna turn off the reference layers for now. I guess I don't really need to, but whoops, go back to my color layer. Let's see what candy looks like in red. Maybe the darker one. Let's see. Oops. I'm gonna set this as reference again so I can fill in the razor blades lettering. I don't know if this greeny gray color was the right decision. It's a little too oh, you know what? We filled in these letters with white, and I don't want them to be white. That was just a temporary thing. So what I'm doing is using the magic wand to select all those colors, and then I'll just hit erase. And then we've got that. Actually, green's kind of cool. Let's see what it would look like on a background color. I feel like it's got to be semi dark, and maybe it's like purple. Oops, let's turn off the reference layer again. Okay, so now that I see the purple background, it makes me want to see what this looks like in the lighter red. So because our purple is very blue purple, it's making that red sort of vibrate a bit, which isn't great. That's interesting. We'll stick with that for now. It's not something I would normally pick, but it could be okay. I'm just coloring in the eyeballs, and the teethuses. This is definitely not what I would normally do. It's kind of cool. Maybe if we can add some texture into this, could give it a cool vibe. So I think I'm going to try some texture just within the razor blades lettering first. So to do that, I have this blue on its own layer. I'm going to make a new layer on top of that, and I'm going to set it as a clipping mask. Grab black, and then come grab texture. Let's see what the one we just loaded. This is actually perfect for what I wanted. I feel like that's a cool look. Let's see if maybe try it a little bit bigger in some spots to get like a little bit of a heavier line. And then I'm going to do a layer on top of the black and make that also a clipping mask. And now I'm going to try doing the same thing with the green on the black a little bit. Just to sort of look like an overprint situation. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll take some of this darker red and then try a different texture. Break up some of this lettering a little bit just to give it a little bit of texture. Let's see what this one is. Maybe this one? I think that's pretty cool. Lacruxy said maybe an orange or a light pink for the background. That could be a cool tool. Tressie said, what tool did you use to color the candy lettering? When I just made it red, I just used the fill paint bucket tool to just color it in red. But right now, I'm using a texture brush to just add some of this texture to it to break it up a little bit. And I think I want to do some to the overall black line work to just grit it up a little bit. Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna go into the Woodland Wonderland set that I use all the time. And we'll just, that's too big. Oh, that's good. So I just wanted to have that like printmaky look where it's just like not perfect. Like the ink coverage isn't perfect. Just to soften it up a little bit. I like to do it on like the edges too, like that. Gives it a cool look. That's a little too much. Like trying to find that like subtle balance. And then we could do like an overall like black overprint like on the whole thing. Let's go back to our let's look at this Retro Supply Co. Subtle Grain Noise. I haven't experimented with these too much. Oh, that's super subtle. I don't like that. That's not what I want for this. It's cool texture, but I want something that has more. Did I just put that line there? Oh, it's actually part of that brush. Well, I like the texture it made, but I don't like that line, so I can just go ahead and erase that part of it. Let's try this. This is too like extra, not the same kind of grit that I want. This is more like weathering. And I'm trying to do like print, like overprint type things. Actually, you know what might be good for this? The print defects in the Rizo brushes. There's probably some good stuff in here. Yeah. Cool. I feel pretty good about this. I think what I'm going to do now is just a couple fine tuning tweaks and then I'll be done. So I'm going to go back to my regular inking brush. I'm going to grab the red that we used for the apple, and then I'm just going to add in just a couple little, just sort of like some shadow things in the eyes, like that, just to give it a little more mood. maybe make it look a little menacing. Maybe there's some splatters on his devil lock from his murderous rampage. And then we could do like some highlights-ish here. Just a couple quick little details to pull it all together, just to add a little bit of flair. And then I'll take this darker red and then maybe just add in a little bit of a shadow. And then one last thing, I'm just gonna do a couple highlights on like the razor blade to make it look semi-metalish somehow. I think that's it. Hope you guys liked it. This was a bit longer than expected, but it was fun, and I hope this was helpful and enjoyable. And check out my video on Tuesday. Thank you to all my channel members. Thank you to everyone who hung out. And I'll see you next Friday. Okay, bye. Good talk.